Hello, everybody. The setup of this episode might be a little bit strange today, but just bear with me. We are going to do this episode kind of in two parts, and this is in response to a video that we aired a couple of days ago where we were debunking the new Netflix series Over the Son of Sam tapes. If you missed that episode, I will link that down in the description box below. We had one part here on YouTube, and the other part was on the other platform that's self-explanatory, or if not self-explanatory, if you watch that episode, you'll understand what I mean. But this first part, I'm going to do as a voiceover, and we're just going to be reading an article from the New York Post from June 30th, 1999. Now, we know that the group in the Son of Sam community who wants everybody to believe the official narrative from the NYPD is responsible, potentially, allegedly, the ones responsible for pushing this narrative that Carl Denaro was the only surviving victim, who believes that it was a group of people involved in Son of Sam and not just one person, and that's incorrect. Now, I've left all the comments up. If you go to that video in the link below in the description box, you'll see a bunch of people leaving horrific comments about the fact that it was only Carl, it wasn't multiple victims, which is simply not true. So that is disinformation. So first we're going to look at a New York Post article, again from June 30th, 1999. The second half of this video, we're going to look at one of Chris's blogs, where she cites even more people who were involved in Son of Sam, who were victims of Son of Sam, who absolutely believe that there were multiple people involved. All right. So this is titled, Victim Breaks Silence After 22 Years Exclusive. Spike Lee's Summer of Sam hits movie theaters this Friday. It's set in the tense Big Apple of 1977 when David Berkowitz cruised the streets looking for women in parked cars on whom he trained his pew-pew. The Son of Sam killer's reign of terror, recounted here Sunday and Monday, wasn't the only big story during that summer. Yesterday, we recalled the 24-hour blackout that provoked one of the largest looting binges in the city's history. Today, one of Berkowitz's victims speaks out publicly for the first time, and on page 24, we give the dramatic account of that day unaliving rained down from atop the Pan Am building. Now it's time to hear from the victims. We are still suffering from the pain of 22 years ago, Judy Placido said. Saturday marked the anniversary. June 26, 1977, 22 years since childhood's end. Judy Placido still carries the night with her. In the panic she feels each time she finds herself alone, anytime, night or day. In the 44 pew-pew fragment she still carries in her neck. For those who survived the summer of 1977, fear still lives in the back of the mind. It haunts us outside car windows. It waits in the bushes for an opportunity. But that summer, Judy Placido was permanently robbed. She lost the ability to forget. It was 3:20 a.m. on the night of the day she graduated from high school. Judy, then 17, lovely in a white halter top and flowing pants, staggered, bleeding, screaming from a car outside the Elephas Disco in the sleepy village of Bayside, Queens, before collapsing on a street corner in a puddle of rain. For 2 decades, Judy has kept silent about the night she survived the Son of Sam. Today, that changes. I've had it rough, Judy told me. I was in denial for 22 years until now. It's not that I didn't remember anything that happened that night. I remembered, but just not with this kind of clarity. But then a few months ago, it came crashing back. In the middle of her Manhattan office, Judy experienced a full-blown panic attack. I was reliving that night over and over. She was hospitalized for 2 weeks, unable to care for her husband, 4-year-old son, an elderly aunt with whom she shares her life. For 2 months, Judy, a legal assistant, was unable to work. Why talk about this now? Because I want the people responsible for taking me down to know what they've done, she says, how they disrupted my life this past year. The public needs to know. They've heard from victims' families. Now it's time to hear from the victims. We are all still suffering from the pain of 22 years ago. I feel I've been exploited. This is all about money. And today's video is sponsored by a small online business that is female run called Fusion Body Studio. This is your at-home fitness boutique. Like seriously, guys, anything that you could ever want is here on Fusion Body Studio, especially for those of you who are maybe a little bit shy about going to the gym or going to a yoga studio. You can do all of this stuff in the comfort of your own home with a bunch of master teachers, including myself. So there are two prices for Fusion Body Studio. For those of you who just want the opportunity to have an exercise platform at home and nothing else, it's only $25 a month, which is literally the price of a yoga drop-in. If you want a little bit more, like you want to do the workshops and have more of a deeper understanding into movements as a whole, it's $40 a month because then you get the workshops too on top of the exercises. Still super cheap. And on top of that, if you use my name, Brice20, all caps, BRIC20 at checkout, you get an additional 20% off your first 6 months. You can't go wrong with that. That's literally like the price of like 1 cup of fancy coffee for the whole month, right? Like 1 cup of fancy coffee will pay for like the whole month of for you to have unlimited access to this fitness boutique. So again, if you're interested in joining, use Brice20 at checkout. On top of that, my friends, you also get the first 7 days for free to try it out. So we hope to see you over on Fusion Body Studio. And with that being said, let's get back to the show. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. Today, I'm doing a follow-up to a bigger video that we released on Tuesday regarding the son of Sam. And I had done an opening here on YouTube where I expressed how many of the victims, including Carl Denaro, also believe Maury Terry's theory. Now, if you missed all that, that will be down in the description box below. Of course, I got trolled. The Son of Sam community can be very, very violent. And thank you to Criminal Justice Chris. She sent over a list of all the names of the people associated that were actually impacted by the Son of Sam case who believe that there is a cult behind this. So it's not just Carl Denaro. A lot of people were name call. I mean, it's terrible behavior. I mean, what do they say? Like when you have no argument to stand on, people resort to name calling. And I think sometimes what happens is people get so invested in their own narrative that they won't even look at the truth anymore. They just want confirmation bias. They just want to see what they want to see. And we'll remind people that when we're talking about Son of Sam, yes, there's a bigger picture here. We need to understand the conspiracy behind this case, but we're also dealing with victims. Victims like Carl who are still here. They're still around, you know? And so let's go ahead and look at Criminal Justice Chris's article. I'm going to link a blog down below. So let's see here. Misinformation in the Son of Sam research community. Who really believes Berkowitz acted alone? So for all the trolls, here you go. We also have newspaper clippings of people who stated they believe there was a conspiracy who were involved in the case. It's not just Carl. Okay? In the Son of Sam community, one of the most persistent narratives is that Carl Denaro, survivor of his 1976 pew-pewing, is the only victim who continues to insist that David Berkowitz acted alone. This has become something of a talking point among certain circles, but it's simply not true. Yes, Denaro is outspoken, but he's not alone. Other victims and family members have also expressed skepticism and the idea of multiple pew-pewers. When discussing the Son of Sam case, the word victim should not be limited only to the individuals who were survivors like Carl Denaro, Judy Placido, and John Deal bear the physical and psychological scars of their encounters with Berkowitz. But their families and the families of those who were unalived are also victims in their own right. And I absolutely agree with that. For example, Nasa, I hope I'm saying her name correct, Nasa Moskowitz, mother of Stacy Moskowitz, endured not only the unimaginable pain of losing her daughter, but also years of public scrutiny, media sensationalism, and the burden of living in the shadows of the son of Sam legend. Families like hers were thrust into a world of court proceedings, police investigations, and conspiracy theories. In many ways, the trauma they experienced was compelled by the endless retelling of events, the inability to obtain clear answers from David Berkowitz, forcing them to relive their losses again and again. Recognizing family members as victims helps reframe the conversation. Their perspective matters just as much as those who survived the attacks themselves. The following have clearly stated multiple individuals were involved in the attacks and not all are family members. Nisa Moskowitz, who firmly rejected Berkowitz acted alone. And I asked one person, have you actually ever read The Ultimate Evil? Because they cover this in The Ultimate Evil, as well as the Netflix TV series over The Ultimate Evil, that Stacy's mother, after being told it was David, once she was confronted with the evidence of a potential conspiracy, she absolutely believed there was a cult behind her daughter's unaliving. She rejected Berkowitz acted alone. That's not Carl Denaro. That's another victim. Shayna Glassman, daughter of victim Craig Glassman. Judy Placido, pew-pewed in the Bronx in June of 1977, who told the New York Post, in 1999, because I want the people responsible for taking me down to know what they have done, she said, how they disrupted my life this past year. The public needs to know. She's clearly stated people and not person. Or David Berkowitz, John Deal, survivor of the pew-pewing that unalived his fiancée, reported that Berkowitz was walking in the opposite direction just before the pew-pews rang out. While this complicates the lone pew-pewer theory, it also makes it clear that he did not simply accept Berkowitz's guilt at face value. In fact, there's unpublished documentation showing journalist Maury Terry was looking closely at alternative theories related, all right, and of course, Carl Denaro. This list may include additional victims and is not comprehensive. At this time, I cannot disclose the contents of Craig Glassman's briefcase, as Shayna Glassman is in the process of preparing a book for publication. Tragically, Glassman lost his life in a car accident while conducting his own research into this case. Shayna was about 5 years old at the time of her father's unaliving. The bottom line, the claim that Carl Denaro is the only victim who believes Berkowitz acted alone is misinformation at best and disinformation at worst. Bing, bing, bing. I think it's more disinformation. It has been repeated so often it is taken as fact by people within the research community and beyond. Victims and families had and still have a range of views. Some rejected the multiple pew-pewer theory outright, while others accepted it. It's crucial for researchers and commentators to recognize these nuances. Collapsing the victim's perspective into a single talking point erases the complexity of the case and marginalizes the victims who endured it. In Carl Denaro's case, he has been unfairly singled out simply for voicing his belief, a narrating that not only distorts history, but also disrespects the experience of all victims. Worst, it re-victimizes Denaro for the very act of speaking publicly about his perspective. And here are all of her resources. I'm going to add this down below in the description box. And that's what's important. I do believe most of the people commenting are spewing disinformation. You can always tell people who are just confused or maybe have a different opinion, but because they're kinder in the comments, right? They're like, I don't know what to believe, blah, blah, blah. You know, they're open to listening. But when you have people in the comment section who are sprouting abuse simply because you are showing evidence of why you believe the way you believe, you know, at that point, in my opinion, that's a huge red flag for controlled opposition. And so it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm sorry, you can't close Pandora's box. The truth is out, no matter how badly behaved people are in the comment section, no matter how many names they call me or call my guests, it doesn't matter. It's not going to change our minds. And more people are waking up to the truth. I don't know anybody that actually believes the narrative. If you are still living in a world where you believe the narrative given to you by the government, then I don't know where you've been the last 10 years. Haven't we learned by now that we are lied to all the time? Once you figure out we're lied to all the time, the next question is why? And once you start researching as to why we're lied to all the time, all of a sudden the puzzle pieces start to fit. So I also have a message. I was laughing, like every for my audience here, you guys know we cover so many stories on this channel. We cover so much stuff, and I do a lot of my own research and have done a lot of my own research and present solo topics. I love looking into history. And, so I don't know, a lot of my subscribers here are into like conspiracies. So trust me, to the controlled opposition, nobody from my audience, I can safely say, is going to believe you, right? They're already conspiracy theorists. They're not going to believe you if you're pushing the official narrative. So you're kind of wasting your time in my comment section, honestly, because nobody in my audience is going to believe you, right? They follow me, they follow this channel because we all agree that there are things that have been hidden in our world. And what we're being told in all areas of life isn't the truth. So they're not going to all of a sudden one day just believe the government's narrative, right? Like that's ridiculous. So I think you're kind of wasting your time. And I was always also laughing. I was thinking about this. One of the biggest shows, most fun show I've done on this channel was we covered missing body parts of famous people. And of course, you guys probably remember we covered Rasputin's missing tallywhacker. We'll say, I don't know what I can say on YouTube. And I was thinking about that because like Mandy Grossman loves to leave comments and harass my page. And I'm like, imagine me, little old me, taking up so much rent in your head that you're over on my YouTube channel, just leaving in Rumble channel, like leaving all these comments. And I'm over here researching Rasputin's missing tallywhacker. Like, jokes on you, bro. Like, you don't take up rent in my head. So anyway, guys, but that was just evidence for all the people in the comment section who are name calling. And it's so funny. They leave comments and they expect me just to respond immediately. And if I don't respond immediately, then I'm like, I have other things going on, right? Like I have a job outside of YouTube. I'm constantly on other people's channels. I'm building my own platform. I have fusion. I'm will check the comments when I can. Just because someone doesn't respond immediately doesn't mean anything, right? And a lot of content creators don't ever check their comments. They just post and ghost. So I don't know what to tell you there, but I would encourage, this is a good example for people. Please, 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 I'm going to encourage you to always do your own research. Never accept what somebody is telling you, because as we've just seen, all of those comments on the prior video of people being all upset because I said multiple victims believed that there was a conspiracy, I was right. I was right in what I was saying because I do research. I research. I was right in what I was saying. But everybody in the comment section is trying to name call me and say when literally there's evidence to disprove that. All it takes is just patience and research and you'll find it. It's there. It's there. So anyway, you guys, I hope you're having a wonderful day and we will talk to you soon.